member of the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
The fucking sun sucks. I don't know what you people see in the sun. I don't know how you people do the sun. It's just the dirt worst. I want nothing to do with it. I'd be content never going out in the sun again.
And Rich Crage.
It's the dumbest show. I cannot believe these people. Some people pay us $10 to listen to the show live. This is what we give them for 45 minutes.
Been doing this for 10 years. Why?
We're bigger than ever. More people listen to us than ever.
Why?
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Weird week. We got an abbreviated show. We're starting at 6 p.m. Up is down. Down is up. Forbidden Door's cursed. Another injury. Man, what's going on, Joe?
Well, that's the breaking news. Literally, as we were starting this show, like the very second we were starting this live show here on a Thursday night, the news broke that Tomohiro Ishii, who was conspicuously absent on Dynamite when they had the four members, they had Pac come out to get face-to-face with Malachi Black, and then they had Miro come on the big screen, but there was no sign of Tomohiro Ishii on Dynamite, and I guess now we know why. He has a knee injury. Clark Connors, who Ishii defeated in the New Japan portion of the All-Atlantic Tournament, is now in the four-way on the pay-per-view. So just add Tomohiro Ishii to the pile of injuries of people missing this curse show.
It's at this point, I think we can now, we'll break down the card. We'll preview it as, extensively. That'll be the bulk of this show. We'll be previewing it. But I think we can now officially say that something is cursed. The show's cursed, right? I think we can officially go on that presumption.
I mean,
the body count on this show is, I would be scared to wrestle on this show, for God's sakes.
A large confluence of disastrous events have led us to this place. I've got complicated thoughts on the show, and I talked a little bit about it on the Thursday TV reviews, and we will talk about the show and dig deep on it here. But first, Rich, I think you need to get everybody up to speed why we're doing this mysterious early and abbreviated edition of the Flagship, and also get them up to speed that there will be an overrun following this Flagship, not the usual live overrun. So if you're listening live, do not stick around after the show is over. You're not getting that.
You'll be very lonely. Live. You'll be very lonely, and you will not get much audio. That's all we'll tell you.
So there will be an overrun hitting all of the topics that we don't have time to do on this abbreviated version of the Flagship. Those include a full breakdown of the G1 blocks, a review of the All Japan Ota City Gym show with the big Triple Crown title change. Jake Lee is the new Triple Crown champion. Rich, did you happen to see that match?
I did not. Yeah, it's on my list. How quickly, before, you don't have to spoil too much, but worth checking out, worth watching?
Yeah, it's worth a watch, okay. Yeah. Possibly bigger news, there's a new All Japan Junior champion, and his name is Tiger Mask.
Oh, shit. Hell yeah. All right.
That match actually
Not
rocks.
Tigers. It's not Tiger's Mask, right? It's Tiger Mask.
Sir, Tiger Mask the fourth of New Japan.
Okay. I got excited about Tiger's Mask. I'm not that excited about that. Actually, I'm not excited about the other Tiger Mask either. Why am I acting like I'm excited? I don't really like either of them. But
hey, Yuji Nagata was there too. They were excited. So a lot going on in All Japan. I reviewed that whole show, and then I also reviewed the AAA Triple Mania Tijuana on the overrun. Well, just to pull the curtain back, that's 90 minutes of additional content. You know how I know that? It's in the can already.
Right. So, great guess. Yeah, you are as people as the Deep Pro nerds like to say, you're very good at guessing. You get things right, and yeah, you have nailed yet another guess, getting the exact runtime of this future overrun, knowing every single topic that you're going to cover, and nailing the runtime is pretty impressive, Joe. So I have to get up for you once again for your prognostications that you continue to just nail.
So those three topics will be covered, but you're going to have to be a $5 subscriber to catch those on the overrun. Now, Rich, explain to people why we have a need for that overrun, and an abbreviated show.
Yes. So obviously, if you do not know, nobody knows this. Joe knows this, but I am leaving for South Carolina later tonight. So I need to do this show. I worked today. I came home. I'm doing the show. I don't skip a flagship. Are you kidding? I'm not skipping a flagship. I'll skip a flagship if I'm in Alaska. If I'm in the area, I'm doing a flagship. So I come home from work, do this show for you right now. Obviously, bumped it up about an hour from our original runtime or normal runtime because I need extra sleep. Because I'm going to then fall asleep for a couple of hours, 4 or 5 hours, hopefully, wake up, and then drive the 13 to 14 hours to South Carolina. But that also, if you're wondering, well, wait a minute, that's during Forbidden Door, and Forbidden Door is in your city, Rich. What are you doing? Yes, the confluence of another cursed thing is me having things come up when big-time major shows are happening. This one in particular is pretty awesome in terms of just how it all came together and how ridiculous it all is. Now it's a meme, and now it's a joke, and now it's funny, and now I kind of laugh at this. Like before, you'd be like, I can't believe you're on vacation during WrestleMania weekend, or oh, you're on vacation during SummerSlam, or oh, you're on vacation, and then there's always something going on, so everyone's like, oh, it's Slammiversary, it's Bound for Glory weekend, you can't be on vacation for Bound for Glory weekend. It's like, shut up, get out of here. WrestleMania weekend, that's pretty egregious, I get that. This one is pretty egregious too. Forbidden Door happening literally, 30 minutes from my house, a confluence of just an incredible show of, New Japan and AEW talent coming together. Not before I knew the card, all that sort of stuff, knowing that I couldn't go, definitely gave me some massive FOMO. But I guess we'll talk about it when we preview the show, man. I'm not feeling as bad about doing it. But essentially what happened is I'm too nice and I opened my stupid, big, dumb mouth because the nurse is on her computer scrolling various airlines trying to find a flight to South Carolina. She is not finding very good prices on these flights. As you, Joe, might know, and as people might know, that airline tickets are very expensive right now. And so she's looking at these flights, and they're ridiculous. They're insane numbers. We're talking, $800 per ticket, $900 per ticket to go to South Carolina. It's like a 2-hour flight. And then the flight times are like 11 hours, 12 hours, all these sort of things. Because, you're going to have to fly to Detroit and do a 6-hour layover, and then you'll go to South. And it's like, oh my God, you're just going to South Carolina. It's like, it should be a 2-hour flight. It should be an hour-and-a-half flight. Like, what are we doing here? No, and she's saying, man, these prices, these tickets are like $800. I'm going to be on the plane for 11 hours and all this sort of stuff. And I said, well, maybe I can drive you. We'll see. And I said, when is it? And she goes, oh, you'll drive me? Like, and I should have been careful to get the weekend first before I said it. I said, well, when? End of June. And she goes, okay, end of June. I said, oh yeah, I think I'm mostly free the end of June. So she goes, okay, cool. Well, then she closes her laptop and says, cool, you'll drive me to South Carolina. We're going on, we'll leave on the 24th or the 23rd or whatever, and then we'll come back on the 28th. And I go, something's going on that weekend, but I can't figure out what it is exactly. Come to find out, it's Forbidden Door. And then I'm trying to pull this back, and I'm saying, well, drive, 14 hours, and $900 is not that bad. And she could see right through me. I'm not a good liar. I'm too nice. I open my big dumb mouth. So I'm like, it's not bad. I mean, you'll get there in 11 hours. It's not, Detroit's a lovely town this time of year. Like, I think you'll be able to find something to do for 5 hours in the Detroit airport. She's seeing right through it. She goes, what? Why? Why will you not drive me anymore when you just said you would drive me? And I said, well, there's this show. It's called Forbidden Door, and it's coming. And then she goes, fine, I'll find a ticket. I'll do whatever. And then I slept on it, thought about it, and I'm like, look, it'd be egregious. It'd be financially unwise to have the nurse go spend $1,000 on a plane ticket, $500 on a rental car, all this sort of stuff to go to South Carolina to go do some stuff with her family and stuff. So I decided, you know what, fine, I will bite the bullet. I will miss Forbidden Door live, and I will go to South Carolina with you. But don't fear, because I have moved heaven and earth to make sure that we will still get an instant reaction, because I'm going to be in South Carolina, and there is a member of the Voice Wrestling Podcast Network family that is also in South Carolina. It is one Iron Mike Spears. So not only is Mike Spears going to be the third chair, but me and Mike will be live in the same room doing Instant Reaction Live this Sunday following AEW New Japan Forbidden Door. Because I'm going to his house to watch the show. We'll record it from his studio. So Instant Reaction Live will happen. We will do it as normal. I'm going to enjoy my beach time in between that. But then we are doing Forbidden Door. So I'm missing it live, which sucks. We had a VOW suite. We had good things going on. That's all right. I'm missing it, but I will be able to hang out with Iron Mike Spears, his dog Pudge, and we'll be able to do Instant Reaction Live. So it all works out in the end. I'm the one who suffers. The rest of you just get the same normal content, and I guess 2 hours less of the flagship this week.
How far from where you are is Iron Mike Spears?
Well, that's a bit of about 2.5 hours.
Oh, that's not bad.
I could do that.
I was thinking you were driving like 4 or 5 hours.
No. I think it's 2.5 to 3. So,
That's, and then you got to come back, though.
Well, I will say, very gracious man Iron Mike Spears says he's got the guest room ready for me. My plan is to drive back afterwards, but if I decide not to, Iron Mike Spears has graciously allowed me to stay in his guest room. So, that very nice from the co-host of Open the Voice Gate, former co-host of Everything Elite, now has a newsletter as well. We'll plug it plenty over the next couple of days. But Iron Mike Spears doing us a solid, giving me a spot to watch Forbidden Door, giving me a spot to record Forbidden Door, and also offering me a potential for a guest room. So, really the savior of this weekend, Iron Mike Spears.
Why don't you sleep it off and drive back at like 6 a.m.?
I might do that. Yeah, there's a good possibility I'll do that.
Right, you'd be back where you need to be at like 8, 9. That's not bad.
That's probably the smarter idea than what my dumb plan of just like...
And you're an early riser anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Because if you drive back after the instant reaction, you're talking... This is East Coast now, so Eastern time zone. So you're talking, what? 12, 1 o'clock, 2-hour drive. You're going to be useless the next day anyway.
Yeah, right.
Just sleep there.
You're smart.
And you're an early riser.
That's a smart way to do it, yeah.
You'll be up by 6, 7 the latest. And then get out of there. But anyway,
because it was tough. So what I did is initially I tried to use our clout, and I messaged various sports bars in the Charleston, South Carolina area, and said, "Hey, are you guys going to be watching Forbidden Door?" And all of them were like, "No, why would we be watching Forbidden Door?
What is that?"
Yeah, they're like, "What is that, and why would we show it?" And I was like, "Well," they're like, "Well." What benefit are you going to... Because then I was like, well, you guys can show it and I'll do my podcast from there. And they're like, but why? And I was like, well, yeah, all right. But I'm thinking, hey, Charleston, a town with, a rich wrestling history. I'll get Mike Mooneyham on the line. Him and he could be a guest. He could be the third chair for the show. But then I decided, I'll just go to Iron Mike Spears' house. So.
Yeah, well, it'll be an adventure for you.
Yes.
It'll be good for the listeners. They get a third voice. So a different set of opinions, and it's all working out.
It's going to work out for the listeners. It will definitely work out. I did want to quickly plug Mike's newsletter. Wanted to make sure I got the URL right. SpearsOvations.ghost.io. You can also follow him on Twitter at Fuji Heya, Fuji with 2 eyes because it's Don Fuji Heya. On Twitter as well. So, we'll plug that throughout the week as well. But, did us a solid. But, hey, the listeners are going to get the same amount of content. They're going to get an instant reaction. I'm going to be watching it. We'll have a third chair. It's all going to work out in the end. So, you know what? I wasn't able to go to the show, but I will say, as the build is going on, and we'll talk about it here in a moment, the crippling, depression of not being there and it happening in my town and everybody descending on my town to watch this show, it's not quite there anymore. Like, would I like to go to Forbidden Door? Of course I would like to go for Forbidden Door, but less of this absolute dread now at the build and we now have the full card. It's okay. I think I'm okay missing it now.
Yeah, I mean, I have very complicated opinions on this show. I think that... Here's how I phrased it on the TV reviews. When the Forbidden Door show was announced... If I presented you with this card, there isn't a single person listening who would have been satisfied with that. They would have been like, there's no chance this is the card.
I will say one thing I think that's kind of interesting about this, and my life cycle with this Forbidden Door show was, initially, let's say 7 months ago, someone says, hey, AEW and New Japan are going to do a joint show together. My expectations for that card would be, pretty decently high. I think maybe not as high as it would later become. But if you told me, hey, they're going to do a show, they're going to do a joint show at some point in 2022, I'd say, okay, yeah, it'd be pretty good. Maybe I could have some matches in my mind that I think would be pretty solid or whatever. I will say my expectations skyrocketed once the show was officially announced, and it was announced in the United Center, because that's a big boy building. That's an expensive building, a big time building. It's I think the largest basketball arena in the country as well. I mean, it's a big. So when that was announced, when it was going to be at the United Center, I'm thinking, okay, now my expectations are high. Now it's no longer going to be like, it'll be this, it'll be that, it'll be, some 6-man, some multi-mans or whatever. My expectations were, okay, now we have a real deal card here. And then when they announced, and I guess full disclosure, we can bring this up now because it's obviously not relevant, but there was discussions that Punk and Okada was potentially going to be the highlight match of this show. And that is a huge match. That is incredible match. So when that was announced, I was like, okay, well, look, who cares? I don't give a shit what else is on this card because we're going to get potentially of Punk and Okada. Later on, that evolved into Punk and Tanahashi, which again, I think is right there neck and neck with Punk and Okada. I'm like, all right, cool. I don't give a shit what else is on this card. That's fine for me. If it's Punk and Tanahashi, that's good enough for me. That sounds like fun. I'm into that. Whatever else is on the card, is kind of gravy or, I would like some other matches here and there, but my expectations are still pretty high because that's a great match. Once Punk goes, my expectations do kind of fall a little bit because now it does feel like we're just kind of piecemealing a lot of these things together. Right now, we're just kind of putting stuff together. So I kind of ebbed and flowed. There was times where I had super, super high expectations. There was times where I had medium expectations. And I think this card now as it stands is... complicated is probably the right way to say it. Do I think the show is going to be very good when it's done? Yes. Do I think I'm going to enjoy the show when it's over? Yes. Do I think this could have been better? Of course I do think this could have been better. Do I think that people are going overboard with criticizing it? Absolutely. Do I think people are wrong to be a little upset about it? No, I don't think they are. And that's... It's a very weird thing that they did here is they kind of set their own expectations here by going to the United Center, announcing these big matches, doing this sort of things, and for one reason or another, injuries and a bunch of other things, it's just ultimately like you're saying, if you gave me this card, if you said Forbidden Door is at the United Center and this is the date and here's the card laid out right for you, I would say this is a disappointing card. I think ultimately I would say this is a disappointing card, and that kind of sucks because there were points during this build where it did not feel like this was going to be a disappointing card, and now ultimately in the end it just does kind of feel like, I don't know, it'll be a good show. It will be a good show, but I'm left definitely empty on it, and definitely think that much more could have been done and much more should have been done to make this show truly a one-of-a-kind dream show that we maybe all, right or wrong, I think right, you put in the United Center, it's a pretty big deal, we all probably expected, and I don't think we got that.
I think people have reasonable expectations of more. I think that, but I agree with you that at the end of the day, I think it's going to be a great show. I'd be surprised if it isn't. And in a vacuum, the lineup on paper, it just didn't meet the very reasonable expectations that people had that it was going to be a killer show. And to further my point, if I told you that we were going to have this Forbidden Door show, and I told you that there was a caveat of no CM Punk, no Bryan Danielson, no Kenny Omega, no Tetsuya Naito coming off an eye injury, no Tomohiro Ishii with a knee injury, no Red Dragon because of Kyle O'Reilly, no Samoa Joe who's off making a movie. Go on and on and on. I can go deeper than that into the mid-card and undercard. And then I showed you this lineup. You'd still say it didn't meet your expectations because even with all of those unfortunate series of events that have handicapped this thing from a star power standpoint, with so many of these major stars not being there that we figured would be when this thing was announced or had a chance to be there, I still don't think this is the best possible foot forward. Rich, you, I, or anyone listening could take this talent that's booked for the show and book a better show than this. And that's without even dipping into the rest of the New Japan and AEW roster that's not booked for the show, right? So even with the handicap of all those issues, and I am sympathetic to this enormous injury issue that has plagued this show, I don't know what else has gotten in the way, whether it's the politics, which I'm sure has played a hand, or just the trickle-down effect, because I believe when they lost Punk and had to replace Punk with Moxley, well, now you have to replace whatever Moxley was going to do on the card, which we don't know. Then you got to replace that. Like, I believe that led to a domino effect.
Right. Yeah, Moxley was probably going to be in something cool, and now he can't be in that because he's got to fill in for Tanahashi, which is fine. It's a good match. Tanahashi and Moxley is going to be great. But yeah, you now fucked with two potentially cool matches or whatever. We don't know what Moxley did. Yeah.
And maybe even more, because I believe that caused a domino effect of everything falling apart. Then you remove Danielson, so now they're going to do this mystery opponent thing, and that better deliver. And I guess we'll get into that in a minute. Yeah. And, then, Naito's not coming. Then, who knows what kind of backdoor deal they had to do to convince Okada to show up, because that feels like it was an 11th hour thing, and whether that was just an intentional tease because Okada did tweet about a month and a half ago. He said we can't have a show like this without the Rainmaker. Then it became, he wants to stay home with his wife. Then it became, the coin drop. So who knows? But the point is he's there. But the card could have been better, and I don't know if it's politics. And here's the thing, Rich. I don't give a shit if it's politics.
It doesn't matter to us. Doesn't matter to you and me. Doesn't matter to the paying audience. Doesn't matter to the people buying tickets. Doesn't matter to the people buying pay-per-views. We don't have to say, the politics, it is what it is. No, we don't.
No, get in a room and figure it out. Figure it out. And that's the title of my Thursday TV reviews this week. Get in a room and figure it out. Sit down and make deals. And you know what? Both sides. And I don't know what's going on in that room. Maybe one side was, amicable to making sacrifices and the other one. I don't know. The point is, figure it out and make it work.
Right. All we know is what the end result is. And the end result is a pretty ho-hum card.
On paper, based on what our reasonable expectations were, which was all of the stars are going to be there and we're going to get some big-time matches. And if that were the case, we would have accepted some bullshit underneath. People would have been fine with 6-man tags underneath if, and I get and look, the injuries are real and a serious barrier. But even dealing with this pot of talent, a better job could have been done. Why can't you get in a room, Tony Khan and Gato, why can't they lock themselves in the room and say, you actually have more incentive when you're hit with all of these injuries to put your best foot forward and make something special happen? There's actually more incentive. With full rosters on both sides, you could have gotten away with 2 huge matches and bullshit underneath. This should have been a cause for emergency, especially if they want to do these every year. Because the consumer confidence now going into next year is, I don't know, look what happened last year.
Yeah, this shouldn't. Hopefully, and this speaks to something we have talked about for as long as the show's been around, and it's never going to fully happen the way that we want to, because there is that FOMO, there is this desire to go to these shows and not miss out and do all that sort of stuff. But I do wonder how much it played into a fact that, hey, we already sold the tickets, we sold the bitch out in 30 seconds or whatever. You know what? Do we have to get in the room and sit down about this sort of stuff? I don't know. Again, I don't know if that influenced. I don't think that they intentionally made this card bad because they sold all the tickets, but their feet aren't to the fire in that same sense. And this is in America where you're trying to sell a pay-per-view as well. So you got one bit of the business done. You got the United Center sold out in 30 seconds, people bought it or whatever. Now you got to get people to buy this thing on pay-per-view. This isn't Japan where you could say, hey, we sold out Korakuen. Great, cool. Give them whatever we want, do whatever. No, you got to also sell pay-per-view buys on this same show as well. And I don't know. Again, I don't know if this building being sold out made it less desirable to go out there and sit in that room and hash these things out, or I don't know. I don't know exactly what that is, but it does speak to something that you always bring up about you give bookers you give bookers an incentive not to give you the best shows when you go and buy the tickets immediately.
Yeah, and I don't think that's the case here.
No, I don't either. I don't want to say it, but maybe. Again, not intent, but maybe less desire to, oh my God, we got to deliver something big here. We got to get in the room. We got to figure out, it's got to be Hangman versus Okada. It's got to be this because we're still, 8,000 tickets short of selling this thing out and this building's expensive, yada, yada, yada. You didn't have to have those conversations.
Yes, it's easier at that point to get Gato in a room and say, we got to sell these tickets.
Yeah, look, we got 10,000 tickets we got to sell in a week. What do we want to do? What's the biggest match we can book? Let's do this right now,
Well, listen, I think if you got Tony Khan in a room privately, him in the wall, he would tell you he's not happy with this card. I mean, I think it's just the end result of a terrible series of events and then not being able to make deals. I would propose at some point when you're back against the wall, both sides need to accept that some of your stars need to lose. And you know what? They might not get their wins back. And you know what? Tough shit. Because it's for the greater good of giving the people the best show possible. Go into the room and instead of this dopey 8-man tag, which I'm sure is going to be fun as hell, go in there and say, hey, you know what? If you give me Shingo and Hiromu to lose clean to the Bucks for the AEW tag team titles, if you give me that, I'll give you Hangman and he could eat a Rainmaker center of the ring. Or whatever. Get in there and make it work. Find a way to make it work. Maybe Gato turns around and says, that don't work for me, brother. All right, well then propose something else. but there's got to be a way to make this work without cramming 4 of the biggest stars into a 4-way, and then cramming a bunch of the other biggest stars into a dopey 8-man tag with Hikuleo.
Yeah, right, I know.
Okay?
That match is so good, and then it's Hikuleo. It's like, oh.
I mean, no
and nothing against Hikuleo. I just want to see the Bucks versus Shingo and Hiromu. I don't think that's not that insane. Either of those teams could take a fall. It's the fucking Young Bucks. If you approach the Young Bucks and said, hey, will you lose to Shingo and Hiromu? They would say yes in 5 seconds.
The problem is they're the champions.
Right,
so,
and I get that, but, it's the Bucks.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You can't, Hiromu just lost in his match against Taiji Ishimori, and Shingo's fucking off with the King of Pro Wrestling thing. You can't tell me there's not a deal you can make where New Japan will accept them losing to the Bucks. And you know what? If I'm Tony Khan, and he may passionately disagree, I'm willing to sacrifice Hangman Page to Okada to get that done. Rich, if Hangman Page, who's coming off losing the title, loses to Kazuchika Okada,
we had this conversation a couple weeks ago, right?
Is that really going to hurt him?
Right. We said, there's a certain guys on this card, and when Hangman did lose the title, I think you and I both said, okay, now that opens up Forbidden Door for them to do whatever, because he can easily eat that fall then. It's fine. Like, you can tell that into the story. That actually works for the story of Hangman. It's like, hey, another big match. He didn't, he lost. He's uneven. He's got to improve. He lost his momentum. He's lost sight of stuff. Punk got to him. Now Okada got to him, or Tanahashi, or whoever it was going to be, whatever that individual star was. Like, that works for the story of Hangman. Like, that actually does tell a better tale if Hangman goes out there and loses. And yeah, he loses absolutely nothing by losing to Okada, one of the greatest wrestlers ever. Like, that's not that big of a deal. I think we can all agree that that'd be okay, that Hangman would be okay after that if he loses. Hey, I gave a valiant effort. I gave it 25 minutes, but Okada just beat me because he's just better and he's fucking Okada. But you know what? I saw stuff that I can do. I did, yada yada. We had this conversation after Double or Nothing, saying this now opens him up for Forbidden Door, and the end result is he's one of 4 guys in a smash together, thrown together final hour of Dynamite 4-way IWGP World Heavyweight Title match,
which I'm sure will be a great match. And we're talking about how good it is on Saturday, but it's not on paper. Doesn't meet the expectation.
No.
And I'm sure Tony Khan's looking at it as, all right, well, if Okada beats Hangman and Jay White has to beat Adam Cole and Will Ospreay has to beat Orange Cassidy, what am I getting out of this? I'm getting Moxley over Tanahashi, and I'm getting, I'm getting the Bucks over Hiromu and Shingo in this scenario that I'm laying out. But you know what? That's my point. At this stage of the game, swallow your pride and accept that the other side might win an extra match, and do the right thing for the fans at that point. Put the pride aside. This isn't Japan, where there is a long history of joint shows being a bunch of tag team bullshit where they split it down the middle, or the side with the higher ground has to have one extra win. American fans, they're not, they expect a true joint show with big time matches and winners and losers on both sides. And I'm sure the original card looked way different than this. Okay, I'm sure it did. And like I said, I'm positive. Look, Tony Khan's going to spin on his dopey little podcast with the girl ref. He's going to spin on the media call tomorrow and say this is because that's his job. But I'm telling you, if you got him private one-on-one and it wasn't going to leave the room, he'd tell you he wasn't happy with it.
There's no way that we know, we know Tony Khan. Everybody listening to this kind of has an idea of what Tony Khan is and what I mean, if he sat down on his little notebook, on sideline at the Jaguars game and was, picking a New Japan AEW dream card, it looks nothing like this card, on that little notebook he's carrying while he's probably supposed to. I mean, it looks nothing like this. It looks nothing like this show.
And we should bring up the fact that it was supposed to be Andrade and Ospreay. That's another thing which was not injury related, but politics related, with CMLL being a pain in the ass. It's about time New Japan tells those guys.
Oh, I know. Yeah, hit the bricks, guys. You're barely even a company anymore at this point. Like, CMLL it's a disaster at this point. Okay.
If I'm New Japan, I tell those guys, look, okay, we like the little Fantastamania. Everyone likes that tour. Okay, it's good for us. It's good for you. But we have the high ground here, okay? If you don't want to do business with us anymore, we'll bring Psycho Clown in for the Fantasticomania, okay? I mean, just put your foot down already. And put your foot down. People will come to Korakuen, okay? I guarantee you, I promise you, people will come to Korakuen to see Rey Fenix and Psycho Clown and Jalistico and go right down the line. And Laredo Kid, and you think that it might be better.
I was going to say, keep going on because it sounds a lot better than what we've gotten as of recent years.
And Taurus and everybody else. Okay, put your foot down with these guys. Okay, because now they're getting in the way here.
Yeah, this isn't worth Volador Jr. You know what I mean? This isn't worth low-effort Volador Jr. Like,
I like okay. Teton as much as the next guy, but come on.
Right.
You know,
Stuka Jr. whatever. You know, Stuka Jr. It's okay.
You know, it's jeez. So now you got that. You got all that bullshit wedging its way in too. But yeah, but like you, my feelings are complicated because in a vacuum, you know, the show it looks like it's going to be great. It's probably going to be great. And this might be where I give the controversial take. I'm still bullish on the paper. I think people are going to buy this pay-per-view. I think people are into the Moxley-Tanahashi match. I think anything else underneath is gravy. Okay, they got Okada, which I thought was important, even though we don't love the match. Rich, I don't see a scenario where, what is it, Saturday night? Or it's Saturday night, right?
You keep saying Saturday night. I believe it's Sunday night because then I was listening to you on the Thursday tier reviews.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, shit, I've been telling everybody Sunday. Like,
I don't know what night anything is.
I'm pretty sure it's Sunday, but you had me because you kept saying Saturday. And I was like, there's no way he hasn't corrected himself. Like, he's definitely got to have this. No, it is on Sunday night. Sunday night.
Yeah, I don't know. No, I'm a moron. With these dates, I can't get this straight. So, the point here is, I don't see a scenario. So you think you're gonna log on to your little Twitter on Sunday night during Forbidden Door, and nobody's gonna be talking about it because nobody's watching. Rich, people are gonna watch this show, and they're gonna watch this show just like they watch all the other AEW pay-per-views, and they're gonna watch it using any means that they normally use. The people that pirate all the time are gonna pirate this one, and the people who buy all the AEW pay-per-views are gonna buy this one. People are not gonna be left out of this show because. You know, look, would it have done better business if we got all of these wild dream matchups? Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
But I don't think this show's going to bomb. I think there's still a ton of curiosity in this show, even among the people who have been, you know, shoveling dirt on it and having fun piling on and shitting on it and everything else. They're going to be just as fascinated to see this show as the people who are into it. So I don't think this show's going to bomb. And I've said all along that I'm bullish on this show. I wanted to see the final card. We have it now. And, you know, the rating last night bounced right back, so we could throw last week out. That was a total anomaly, which everybody, you know, who was being fair about it realized in real time. The segment last week, which spiked dramatically for Tanahashi and Moxley, shows me there's interest in that match. Haven't seen the quarter hours for this week yet. I think this pay-per-view is going to do reasonably well. I don't think it's going to bomb. I don't think this disappointing card is going to matter in terms of causing the show to bomb. And I think the pay-per-view is going to do well. And I think it's going to be a good pay-per-view. And, you know, I think the reviews are going to be strong because I don't see many scenarios where the show won't be good. It's just a disappointing lineup in the context of what we thought we were going to get.
Right. There's just so much talent on both rosters to end up with this. It's and it just feels like, yeah, ultimately there's too much talent and there's too many smart people involved for this to be the end result of the card. And I think that's where the disappointing thing comes from is just, yeah, you know, did you work yourself into a shoot with higher expectations? I don't think so. When they book the United Center, when they book, you know, Tanahashi and Punk, you're thinking, okay, here we go. Like we're really talking about something here. We really got something here. And then the end result is just, it's just not that. It just doesn't feel like it matches the initial hype of the show. But
hey, look, I think AEW fans are buying this show.
Well, and I've said that from the beginning. Like I never understood this scenario where like take Joe Sixpack AEW fan that watches every single week on Dynamite. Why is he not ordering this show? What?
Well, people will tell you it's because
Japanese men.
Yes, they didn't introduce the Japanese men who your core AEW fan is familiar with.
Right. And who exploded when Okada came out. Insane. Yeah. Oh my God. I can't watch this show anymore. What I will say, though, and what I will say is I am very curious how this one does in terms of where it's placed in the calendar. So we have never had an AEW pay-per-view smack dab in the middle of summer. We've had
Yeah.
End of May, we've had early September, we've had Labor Day, we've had later in the year, we've had that sort of stuff. We've had, near St. Patrick's Day. They have always avoided the middle of the summer. And I'm very, very curious. And that's maybe the one thing that, and initially I think I brought this up when we talked about the buy estimates, is I think your core AEW fan is going to buy this show no matter what. If they bought Double or Nothing and they bought All Out and they bought Full Gear, then they're probably going to buy this. They bought Revolution, they're probably going to buy this.
They want to see who the interim champ's going to be.
Right, yeah, they're interested. It's still going to be a good... All these stars of AEW are mostly still there. Mostly. And I guess, yeah, there's probably going to be some that fall off because there's no Punk, and there's going to be some that fall off because there's no Bryan. But, there's still Jon Moxley in there. There's still Hangman. There's still Adam Cole. There's the Bucks are there. There's still enough stuff. There's enough intrigue. What I'm really curious about is
Orange Cassidy.
A bona fide draw for sure, TV wise and all that sort of stuff. But what I'm curious is we'll find out, and this will be a very eye opening thing. Is does summer also matter? Does being smack dab in the middle of vacation season, does being in a time when people have so many other things to do that maybe it's not top of mind on Sunday night to say, you know what, I'm not doing anything. I'm sitting at home, not doing anything. Because I'll tell you, all the other AEW pay-per-views are usually when I'm not doing shit. At the end of May, not doing anything. It's end of May. Who gives a shit? September, Labor Day is busy, but you got an extra day, so it's whatever. All Out is always, fine because you got that next day off afterwards. And then Full Gear and Revolution or whatnot are happening in, early fall, late,
winter.
Yeah, late winter. Who cares?
February.
It doesn't matter anymore. At that point, it's like, I don't do anything. Of course I'll sit here and watch this pay-per-view. I'm very curious, and we might not know because people might see a number, whatever that number may be, and assume, oh, it's because the build sucked, or, oh, it's because these guys got hurt. Or I do wonder if how much of it is just the attrition of being in the smack dab in the middle of summer. And WWE was always kind of careful about that too with SummerSlam. SummerSlam is not in mid-July. SummerSlam isn't in mid-June. It's the end of August. It's like pretty late in August because they want to capture everybody they possibly can and not get in midst of vacation times and people just doing other stuff and doing other things on the weekend. So I'm really curious what that number bears out. I think your core AEW fan are going to watch it no matter what because they're going to watch an AEW pay-per-view because it's going to happen anyway. I don't want not to use the term casual fans, but your fans that maybe aren't your every single pay-per-view buyer, those are going to be the interesting ones to see how many of them are going to jump on board for this, which I still think is a very intriguing card to a lot of them, but how many of those have other things going on, are going to be on vacation, going to be out of town doing that sort of stuff. That to me is what's going to be a lot more fascinating than people hate this build and, oh my God, Japanese men on my television. I can't possibly watch this show anymore. Like that's
idea.
Dumb. That's dumb and we shouldn't even offer
this idea that AEW fans aren't going to buy this show because Zack Sabre Jr. didn't cut a promo is utter nonsense.
Right.
It's utter it's the most overtalked. I'm not going to say there's nothing to it, but it's completely overblown.
Yeah, would I prefer Zack Sabre Jr. cut a promo? Yes. Am I now assuming that 80,000 people that were going to buy this show that are about to hit the button, Zack Sabre Jr. comes out, oh, here we go, and then he doesn't cut a promo and go, exit. I'm good. I don't need to spend my money. No, come on.
Yeah, I mean, they popped the building, the roof blew off when Okada came out. No, and I get that the live audience is a different kind of audience than the TV audience. I understand that. But we're talking about the core AEW fan base that buys every pay-per-view. They're going to buy this. And I think a lot of the people shitting on the show, there's still a curiosity factor. They're going to buy it so they can sit there like they used to do at Monday Night Raw and rip on it all night. I think those people are going to buy the show. I don't see a scenario where Sunday night your Twitter feed is a ghost town like it is for some of these WWE premium live events that have bad lineups. I think that's insane. I think that Sunday night AEW and Forbidden Door is going to own your Twitter feed because I think people are going to be watching this show. I think it's absurd to think otherwise.
Yeah, looking at recent pay-per-view buys here, Full Gear 2021. I'm throwing out All Out because we always have the 205. I don't think it's going to reach 205.
It's not going to do All Out numbers.
It's not. So let's just scratch that from the record. All right, Full Gear. We're going to start with Full Gear in November. 145,000 for Full Gear. You think this one can beat Full Gear 145,000?
No, I think this show will do. I think the Mike Tenay, if the show does 90, it's a success. I would pound that. If I could bet on that, I would pound that over with every dollar in my bank.
Yeah, that's like the numbers they were doing when they first started, or like, no, I don't.
I think they're going to do. They're going to do over 100,000.
I think that's safe. I think that's safe. I would say I forget what my initial thing was, but I think I'm somewhere in the 110, 120. I think that's where I initially was, and I don't think I've changed off of that at all.
I think they could do 120. I think anything over 120 is a pretty big success, and they should do them every year. I think they're going to do them. I think they should do another one next year anyway, where they could really put their best foot forward and kind of make up for this lineup. The one kind of silver lining is they still have a lot of money matches on the table.
They do. Next year's show should be pretty good. Yeah.
I mean, you still have Punk Tanahashi on the table, and you want to do that one because the clock's ticking on both guys. And you still have Okada will not have had a singles match with anybody. Bryan Danielson's not wrestling on this show.
Kenny Omega not there.
Kenny Omega's not there. If this show does well, it's like a little gift that they got that a lot of these guys didn't work, because next year they can load it up and do even better.
Yeah, they'll dodge a bullet if the show still does great.
Right.
Fans are still hot. It ends up being a very good show. They can, breathe a sigh of relief of, wow, oh man, we had 12 injuries and this and that and yada yada and all these sort of things, and we still sold these amount of pay-per-views. We still had a great show, and we still had a hot crowd. Yeah.
And did $1 million gate. Now, next year you might have to show people something before you sell that building.
And hopefully, we're always in favor of that. Honestly, I'm always in favor of that.
Rich. We had promoters in our DMs yelling at us for those shows we did 10 years ago, screaming about stop buying tickets blind because you're letting these promoters off the hook. And we got people arguing. Gabe Sapolsky arguing with us. Oh, a good promoter would never do that. Yeah, but you do it subconsciously. I'm not even saying they do it on purpose. Some of them do because they're sleazy.
Right, yeah, if you listen to the actual context of the show, and I just said that earlier with this thing, like, I don't think that you inherently go, oh shit, we sold out the building, great, make it a shitty show, fuck those fans, you know what I mean? Like, you're not doing that. You're not sitting there petting your cat saying, these marks, give them a bad show now. Like, but do you work harder to make those calls? Do you work harder to stay up all night racking your brain and making the calls and making the texts and saying, hey, would you face this guy? Will you lose this? I mean, you don't do that sort of work. You might just be a little bit more like, you know what? Yeah, like subconsciously. It's all that. We talked, I forget what examples we used at the time, but like very much, people do that in their job too. When you're hungry for a job, you're single and you're hungry to find somebody, you're probably going to start working out more. You're probably going to eat better. It's just a different attitude. It's just a different sense of how you approach life, and that's how it happens probably for these guys too. They don't sit there evil stroking their mustaches going, give these idiots a bad show. I'll show them for buying tickets. But yeah, do you, like we said with the Gato and Tony, do Tony Khan and Gato get in the room and say, all right, we got to sell 10,000 tickets in a week. What's the match? Who are you willing to give up? Let's do it. But we're not leaving this room until we get that match, and we're announcing it on Twitter, or we're announcing it to the ticket buying audience. We're not leaving this room until we have that match and we decide on what it's going to be. You don't do that when the building's sold out. You might make cursory calls here and there. You might make cursory texts, but there's not the desperation to sell those extra 10,000 tickets or whatever like there is when the building's sold out and you already got $1 million gate.
What do I need to do to not lose money? It doesn't
Right.
exist when you've already sold the building out. So that's all we're saying. We're not saying that they're all curling their mustaches and yeah. So anyway, I think obviously they've already done $1 million gate. I think the pay-per-view is going to do well. I think there's going to be massive curiosity in this thing, even from people who have been shitting on it. They're all going to be there in front of their TV.
Of course,
every one of them for this show. Now, if it was just a run-of-the-mill bad AEW pay-per-view lineup, I might not be as confident in that, but there's a novelty factor here that cannot be ignored. Anyway, here's the show. Moxley and Tanahashi for the interim title. I think that there's big interest in that match, and I think that's the match that's going to sell the pay-per-views. And I do think there's an outside chance. I can't write off the possibility of Tanahashi winning. And my thought process there.
I can't either, man. I'm actually going to look right now at see if my bookie has any odds on this. Because
look. I think Moxley's going to win. I just can't write off the possibility because
right. Yeah, well,
here's my reason.
I was going to say I'm not a betting man. Like I was going to say betting man wise, if I was a betting man, like depending on the odds for Tana, I think it's at least worth a potential of looking at it, because I don't think it's a 0% chance. I see some people saying zero. There's no way it's going to be Moxley. Of course it's going to be Moxley. I think there's an outside chance it could be Tanahashi. Do I think it's going to be Moxley? I do. Will I be willing to throw a few bucks on a bet to have it beat Tanahashi? Yeah. And right now, I'll tell you, sir, the odds for one versus Tanahashi are plus 225.
What site is this?
That is my bookie.
Plus 225. My line, I told you this privately. I said if Tanahashi's plus 400, I'm playing him.
Yeah, 225 is not enough for me, I don't think.
225 is not enough for me.
$10 win. It's not going to be enough.
But plus 400, I was playing Tanahashi. Because I think the thing with Tanahashi and the argument for him to win is if Tony Khan, and I say this, I don't say this to be disparaging, but he's a giant nerd. And if he doesn't want to screw up his title lineage by having Jon Moxley have this second kind of fake title reign or whatever, Tanahashi's the best trapdoor out of that. You know what I mean? It's like you put this interim title on Tanahashi, he comes back, and then you do the Punk Tanahashi match you wanted to do to begin with.
Right.
You know, and you draw money with that, and then you put the title right back on Punk, and you don't disrupt your title lineage or anything. So there is an argument for Tanahashi, but no, I think Moxley's going to win.
Yeah, and I think, too, there's the weird optics of Moxley walking around with that interim title. And like, Moxley will make it work because he's Jon Moxley or whatever, but I just can't get by how I think he's going to feel dorky if he does, you know what I mean? Just carrying around this sort of
interim
fake title that's not quite real, and is he going to treat it like it's real? Like, I think you get out of a lot of that by just having Tanahashi win it, and Tanahashi can treat it like it's a big deal to him, because to him it will be a big deal. He doesn't really know or care about all the other stuff. To him, it probably is a big deal to win this title, and then you can still do the Punk Tanahashi thing, whether it be later in the year or whether it be at Wrestle Kingdom or whatever. You can do that, and then you neat and tidy. And Moxley doesn't have this weird, well, he's two-time champion, sort of, kind of, you know what I mean? Like, you don't have to worry about that if it's Tanahashi. But yeah, there's, again, I still do think Moxley is going to win, but I would not put it at 0%. I would definitely put it, there's not a strong chance, but there is a chance that Tanahashi does leave Forbidden Door as champion. And I think that'd be fine. I think that'd be interesting and be a fun, unique story. And hell, even if he's not there every single week, which he's not going to be because he's got to be in the G1, he's got to be in Japan, he's got to do that sort of stuff. You have 27 other titles in this company. Like, you're fine. Like, you're going to be okay without this one particular interim title. It's not even you know what I mean? It's not even the real title, and everybody knows it's not the real title. You have guys on the roster saying it's not even the real title. So it's like, I don't buy this idea that, like, AEW is just going to crumble from within if that title's not around. You got enough stuff to hold you over for 3, 4, 5 months or whatever. Or, if the Punk injury is worse and it is awful and terrible, then yeah, you can bring Tanahashi here, have him lose to somebody or whatever, and move on that way. But, I don't know. I just don't. I don't think it'd be a terrible thing if Tanahashi won. I think they'd be fine. AEW would be fine. I think it would be cool for Tanahashi, and I think Moxley loses nothing by that either.
I'm not someone who thinks you need the title on TV every week.
There's 27. I mean, goddamn, there's so many titles in the show. They'll be fine. They'll be okay.
The 4-way for the IWGP Heavyweight title, I mean, Jay White's not losing the title. I think the intrigue is in who gets beat, and that, I think, is going to be Adam Cole to advance whatever storyline they're doing here between the Elite and the Bullet Club. So Adam Cole's going to eat a switchblade probably out of nowhere. I would have obviously loved to have seen 2 singles matches and for these bookers to show some guts and just beat some people in the middle. That's not what's happening here. But I'm sure it'll be a great match.
Yeah, it's fucking 4-way, man. I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be good. I just imagine some of the spots in my head, and I already hate them. And some of the kick out, somebody's going to be pinned, and the guy's going to come out of nowhere and break it up or whatever. And it's like, ugh, God. 4-way. I just can't get excited about a 4. It's going to be good. It's going to be good, but I will just never, I'll be very consistent about that. I'm going to be consistent when we talk about Slammiversary. I just can't get into 4-ways. I can barely get into triple threats and 3-way dances at this point. I just have a tough time with these. I'd rather just 2 singles matches. I just like singles matches and I just like tag matches. I would take a 6-man over this match. I would take a straight up tag match between over a 4-way. I just have no interest in seeing a 4-way. But with that said, in the end, I'm positive I'll still enjoy this match because look at the guys that are in it. Everybody is good. Everybody is solid. It's probably going to be solid as hell. It's just going into it, there's no way I could tell you that I'm excited. I'd be lying if I told you I was excited about it.
U.S. title, Will Ospreay versus Orange Cassidy. I think on a properly loaded show where everybody's healthy and in a perfect world, this is like 5th from the top.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is a really good 5th from the top match. Now it's 3rd from the top. I think it could be the match of the night. I mean, I'm not thrilled with the matchup, but looking at what they were dealing with the guys that were tied up in the All Atlantic deal and the way some of the rest of the card shook out, I mean, I could see why this was chosen as the option. And I think that they could steal the show and have the match of the night. Number one, it's Will Ospreay, who's like 4th year running the best wrestler in the world, arguably. And I don't know if you saw the Nick Wayne match, but I'm writing up a.
Hey, sorry for the brief timeout. This is Rich from the Flagship Podcast, letting you know about our friends at Drizzly. And this is the spring season, and it is the season of celebration. You have birthdays, you have weddings, you have graduations, you have Father's Day, you have Denim Day. It's a real thing. I promise you. Look it up. It's a real thing. There are a lot of spring occasions that you'll be celebrating, so why not celebrate with the gift of beer, wine, and spirits delivered in under 60 minutes with Drizzly. You're right. It's flawless logic. Right now, Drizzly is giving all new customers $5 off their first order with the code SPRING5. Just download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use that promo code SPRING5 for $5 off your very first order. Drizzly, if you do not know, is the most convenient way to buy beer, wine, and spirits with delivery to your doorstep in under 60 minutes. It is far and away the #1 app for alcohol delivery. You get the convenience, you get the price match, you get to shop around, you get to find the best deal for what you're looking for, you get exactly what you want, and you get it when you need it. Download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use the promo code, the new spring promo code, SPRING5. You're going to use that to get $5 off your very first Drizzly order. Again, download the Drizzly app or go to drizzly.com. That's DRIZLY.com and use the promo code SPRING5 for $5 off your first order.
Hi, I'm Flo from Progressive. If you love the sports like me, you get annoyed with your team or player. So Progressive's going to help take your mind off your team or that player for a moment. Instead of thinking about how they lost that thing recently, think about Progressive letting you compare our direct rates side by side with competitors to easily find the lowest option. Don't worry, your sports ball team or player will get him next time. Hope this distraction from Progressive about easily comparing rates was helpful to not think about that last game or match or season. I mean, even though I love sports ball.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Comparison rates not available in all states or situations. Prices vary based on how you buy.
Review for that, which should be out at some point this weekend on the $10 tier. I'm doing a batch of reviews. That was everything people are saying.
Yes. Oh yeah. He locked in Wrestler of the Year at this point. Like he has to either get hurt and not wrestle the rest of the year.
Which is a possibility based on what's happening around him.
Based on this cursed ass show. And even then, I'm not sure that I could take, given the body of work that this man has had this year, 6 months, almost 7 months into the year, that felt like the cap off to me, where I was like, all right, this is just so clearly the best wrestler in the world. Head and shoulders. Like it's absurd how good this guy is. And he's going to do it again on Sunday. He's going to go there with Orange Cassidy. People are going to say, Orange, and then he's going to go out there and have the match of the night with Orange Cassidy. It's going to be like 4.5 stars. People are going to say, I didn't know Orange Cassidy was this good. And like that's what Will has done this year, is make people that, and I'm not taking anything away from Orange Cassidy, because Orange Cassidy is very good, but the constant thing is like, oh, I didn't know that guy was that good. And it's like, well, yeah, that guy is good, but also Will Ospreay is that good that he makes everybody else feel like they're the greatest wrestler in the fucking universe, and he's going to do that again with Orange Cassidy. I'm positive this is going to be the match of the night. I'm positive it is, because it's fucking Will Ospreay, and he has the match of the night every night that he wrestles.
The new spin, Rich, is this.
Will's God. Please enlighten me on the spin.
Yeah. The new spin is this. Will's matches are so good that people can't like credibly claim that the matches aren't good. Like,
right.
So now what they're doing instead,
and they're all different, and they're all with different opponents, different parts of the country, different parts of the world. Yeah.
So what people are doing instead is crediting the other guy. That's the new.
Yes, of course.
Like I don't know if you saw some of the Dax Harwood fallout. I saw one. Some reviewer was like, this proves Dax is a miracle worker. Yeah, Dax is a miracle worker for having a great match with the best wrestler in the world, who has great matches every time he has a singles match. Yeah, that must be it.
All right, so I'm looking right now at all Will Ospreay singles matches that have over 9 or over 8. Let's do over 8 on Cage Match this year, okay? So all these Zack Sabre Jr., Okada, Michael Oku, Nick Wayne, Jon Moxley, and Brian Cage all carrying Will Ospreay. Oh yeah, let's go to over 8. El Phantasmo, Sonata also there.
Yeah.
Titus Alexander, great match. Blake Christian, I don't know if you saw that one from Warrior Wrestling, great. Dax Harwood, great. The fucking match with Bushi. Bushi. Yeah, great match with Bushi.
Well, people were okay. So I saw a lot of
people doing that with Bushi.
I saw a lot of people saying the Dax Harwood match was like a match of the year contender and the best match that Will Ospreay's had in years and all this nonsense. That's not even one of Will Ospreay's 5 best matches this year that I've seen against Dax Harwood. And it was a great match.
No. I love that match, but no.
I mean, the Okada match, blew it away. You just named a bunch of them.
Yeah, Zack Sabre Jr., Oku, this Nick Wayne match.
Oh, the Oku match, please. Way better,
Jon Moxley, I was live in the building for that one. Fucking awesome.
Even the four-way, right?
I'm talking about the straight-up singles match at Windy City Riot.
Oh, yeah, that one. That was a great match. Yeah. I mean,
this is just, by the way, these are just good Will Ospreay singles matches this year, right?
That Dax Harwood match would be the best match of a lot of people's lives. That's like his 7th best match in half a year. It's so ridiculous, And he's going to have another great one against Orange Cassidy. And, I'm going to, anyway, plug the reviews again. That'll be $10 tier, great content. Ospreay, Nick Wayne, Takeshita versus Speedball from West Coast Pro.
Oh, I'm excited to read what you thought of that one.
Takeshita versus Lee Moriarty from Prestige. I just watched that and wrote up the review. And then I'm going to do Ospreay versus Titus Alexander from West Coast Pro. And then the 5th match, I was going to do the AAA 5-way, but I changed my mind. I'm probably going to do either Ospreay versus Blake Christian or figure something else out for the 5th match.
That's a hell of a 5 matches, man. Jesus.
A lot of snowflakes are going to be flying.
Yeah, I was going to say it's going to be snowing in Texas sometime this weekend.
For that one.
Sure.
And I don't typically do that with my reviews. I try to mix in. I don't try to do just super hyped matches, but that's what this match is going to be. But anyway, that match will probably be great and threaten match of the night. The All-Atlantic title, as we talked about at the top, Clark Connors is in for Ishii. So Ishii wasn't going to win anyway, but it's going to be Pac, Miro, and Aleister Black with Clark Connors. Ishii wasn't in a singles match. I'm really not that torn up about it. I mean, when you add it to the rest of the pile, it's like, come on already. But Ishii in a 4-way isn't quite the same as if Ishii would have been wrestling one of these guys in a singles match. So big opportunity for Clark Connors. I don't know. I guess we need to find out what this title is going to be. I still don't know what it is.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure what it is. I think this, again, like, if this is the only 4-way match, I'd say, all right, yeah, but this is pretty interesting. It's pretty cool. The fact that it's a second 4-way match on the show, it's tough to get too excited about that. Like, it's, again, I'm not going to ever lie to you and tell you I'm excited about a 4-way match. Like, I'm just never going to. But this one was pretty close when it was going to be Pac, Miro, Malachi Black, and Tomohiro Ishii. Now I feel like there's also this added weirdness that, like, this match is probably going to be pretty damn good. Pac and Miro are both great. Malachi Black is great. Clark Connors isn't as great as Ishii, but he's still pretty damn solid. I feel like this match is going to be, like, a really, really good 4-way. Now that main event's going to have to follow and also be a very, very good 4-way, which is not always easy to do, to have a good, well-constructed 4-way match. So it's just odd booking again. Like, I just never in a million years thought we would get 2 4-way matches on
and
the
a 3-way.
show. Yeah, and a 3-way. It's just, it's too much. It's just too much.
So for all the marbles, the IWGP and ROH tag team titles, Okan and Cobb, who come in as the IWGP champs, FTR, who come in as the ROH champs, and Roppongi Vice, whose story is we have never won either of these titles, and we want them, and we can get them both. So, I mean, I would have been preferred either of these paired off. Again, I'm sure it'll be good, but, but it's interesting that the winner gets both of these titles, because then it's like, how do you, FTR is going to win. I think the idea is they're belt collecting right now. Is kind of the idea, and New Japan doesn't really need their tag titles around with G1 coming. So, but then how do you get all these individual sets of titles off of FTR from there? That's
that is tough. FTR seems like the obvious pick here. United Empire just doesn't work as like ROH champion. It's kind of a weird fit. Roppongi Vice. I mean, Roppongi Vice, I don't think they're going to win. They would maybe be the easiest one because they can bounce back and forth a little bit easier than all these other guys and and whatnot. But that's not I mean, it's going to be FTR. I think we all know that. And
I think they're doing the belt collector gimmick with that.
Yeah, exactly. And that's fine. That's cool. But like you said, it is a little weird. It kind of, I don't know, for United Empire, it also feels kind of, I mean, why did they have to lose those titles to Fale and Owens? Even, I don't know. It's like, now they're going to be 3-time champions in 2 months and stuff. I don't know. It's kind of weird, kind of strange. But no, I mean, this, I think would be, I'd be way, way, way more excited if it was FTR than United Empire. Like, that's fine. Like, you can have United Empire lose. It's not that big of a deal. You could FTR lose if you wanted to. But I get it. They're protecting.
Yeah, they got Rocky there to get beat. Yeah. That's what it is. Rocky's there to get beat. Zack Sabre Jr. versus X. I went over some of the candidates for this X.
It's got to be Cesaro. It's got to be like a Cesaro level guy or better, right?
Yeah, well, there's only one Cesaro level guy, and that's Cesaro.
Yeah.
Now,
right.
the last I heard, but who knows? There wasn't a ton of interest in Cesaro. But he hasn't shown back up in WWE yet, so that's something to look at. Gargano. Now, the thing about the guy then becoming a member of Blackpool Combat Club, Gargano doesn't fit that aesthetic at all.
No, he's a Disney adult. He can't be a part of the Blackpool Combat Club unless they get him in the ring with all of his Disney stuff and they have a giant barrel on fire and they tell him to throw all of his Disney stuff in there. William Regal and Moxie tell him, "Hey, throw that shit in there right now, buddy. Get all these figures and all your fucking Disney crap and throw it in this fire if you're going to be a part of Black." Now that would rock if they're going to do that. I don't think that's what's going to happen though.
He's a melodrama nerd. He's not he doesn't fit the aesthetic.
Not at all.
I saw Davey Richards pitched. I don't think he's a big enough name.
That pops you and me and nobody else.
I don't think he's a big enough name. I saw Lee Moriarty pitched. He's a real possibility.
But you don't do the mystery thing with Lee Moriarty. You just have Danielson say Lee Moriarty then, right?
Well, maybe not.
Setting him up. I don't love that.
Here's
for
the
Lee.
problem.
That's setting him up for failure.
It's setting him up for people to be disappointed in him because he doesn't come across. The way that Danielson and Khan have sold this is that it's this huge name that's not going to be a letdown. I'm sorry, but Lee Moriarty would be a letdown. No disrespect to Lee Moriarty.
No. Lee Moriarty would be great. I think he'd fit in perfectly with that unit. It'd be great, but
absolutely.
That would be a thing where you say, all right, I'm introducing a new member of the. This is on Wednesday. Danielson would say, hey, I'm introducing a new member of the Combat Club. It's Lee Moriarty. He's going to show you what he can do. And then he goes in the ring and he kills a guy on Dynamite or whatever. That's how I would build that if it's going to be Lee Moriarty. Having it say, all right, Zack Sabre Jr. comes out and he's going, okay, come on, man. Who am I facing? Who am I facing? And it's Lee Moriarty is like, you're just letting the air out of a balloon like nothing else. And there's, again, it's all about the optics of it. If Lee Moriarty is announced on Wednesday and goes out there and have a match and people say, all right, whatever, it's Lee Moriarty, he's a new member of the Combat Club. Okay, that's fine. You have Danielson telling you, oh, you know me, I'm not going to let you guys down. It's going to be a great pick. Like, you can't then wait for Zack Sabre Jr. to be standing in the ring waiting for the opponent to come out and it's Lee Moriarty. Like, that's just not going to work. It's not fair to him. It's just not fair to Lee Moriarty, who is a great talent and will be a great addition to the Blackpool Combat Club, but that's setting him up and it's setting the fans up to feel disappointed and angry and annoyed.
He would work long term for the group. There's no question about it. But the reason you wouldn't say is because I feel like, all right, let's make lemonade out of these lemons of not having Danielson, and we'll have the intrigue of a mystery wrestler as part of the sell for this pay-per-view. So maybe that's part of it. You got to
deliver that, though. You can't. Yeah, they've been good about it, and AEW has been very good about that. They haven't violated that trust yet. We always talk about that. Every time they've told you there's a big surprise, it's usually a pretty damn big surprise, and it usually does deliver what people want. So
this wouldn't.
This would be one of the first ones, the first obvious and public letdown of a mystery. So I don't know. I don't love it.
The people in the building would be like, "Oh, we like him. He's the guy on Dark," and it's like it wouldn't get. To me, there's only one person who's realistic and available on Earth who would satisfy the build, and that's Cesaro. I think that would get a great reaction in the building, and is the guy who your typical AEW fan is dying to see in that company, and get away from the place where they're never going to book him in a way that's satisfying to a hardcore fan. That's the only one. I don't see another option that would be satisfying in that building and live up to the hype of talent.
I mean, unless you're poking guys from New Japan, but even then you're talking about
But then they have to be part of Blackpool Combat Club, and it doesn't work.
Right.
So that disrupts it. So, I've seen people say, like, Shibata. Well, first of all, they're not putting him in a blood and guts match. They haven't let him...
That would be quite the jump, yeah.
Well, they haven't let him wrestle since Wrestle Kingdom. So you're going to put him in a match where he's, carving his head up and falling off of shit. Yeah. I mean, so, and then it's the issue of, well, then he has to be part of the group. I'm on TV every week. So that's not going to work. The one that would have been perfect, except the politics don't allow it, is Takeshita.
Yeah.
I think that would have been perfect.
Sorry, finish with Takeshita.
Yeah, but there's a DDT guy that has to wrestle
it's not
the
gonna
Japan guy, and New Japan's not going to go for that.
Would a Kenta work for you?
No, because Kenta is in Bullet Club, and the canon crosses over in these two companies.
Right.
So he can't be in the Blackpool Combat Club because he's in Bullet Club. The canon's the same. So you can't do that. I mean, All Japan has Suwama in 19 different factions right now. But,
but they would probably like to. Don't do what they're doing. Don't do what Suwama and All Japan are doing.
We don't need voodoo murders, please.
No, please no.
But, so no, that doesn't work either. But he would fit the aesthetic to a T. I mean, he'd be great. So to me, I think it's going to be Lee Moriarty or Cesaro. I think Lee Moriarty is going to get off to a little bit of a rough start if it's him. Cesaro, though, look, this is all the way they've hyped this as a huge major. Bryan Danielson said, this is not going to let you down.
Right. When he says that, yeah, that's
Tony Khan on the podcast today with I always forget her name, Aubrey Edwards said this is a massive surprise that people are going to love. Well, okay, then it can't be Lee Moriarty.
It can't be Jonathan Gresham, Lee Moriarty, or
no, it can't be those people.
Jarrell Nelson, or
right? It can't be the West Coast Wrecking Crew.
Right.
Tom Lawler.
Right, yeah. I'm trying to think of like strong guys that are going to be in the building there. Yeah. Gabe Kidd, like it's not enough if it's Gabe Kidd. Like that's not a massive giant surprise. Like it's not going to work.
So I mean, they've set themselves up where it's like, and now I think there's like this groundswell for Cesaro now too, where it's like if it's not him, people are going to be annoyed. So anyway, we got to move on.
Yeah,
so AEW Women's Title, Thunder Rosa versus Toni Storm. I think this has a chance to be the best women's title match that they've done maybe ever if it hits its ceiling. I think they should put the title on Toni Storm. She feels hot. She performs well every single week on TV. This feels like one of them old school deals where it's like, this is like, if it wasn't the original plan, we need to change plans and put it on this person. That's what it feels like to me.
Yeah. I like what do you think of the build of this match?
It's fine. I don't know. I mean, people make such a thing of that. It's like, I don't know. I'm from the Cody school of we don't need a fucking novel to set up every match. I don't know.
I kind of like that. They just stare at each other and say, we're going to fight each other at some point. And then
I'm the wrong guy to ask because I don't need all that.
Yeah.
And a lot of wrestling fans claim they do need that. And maybe they're right. You know what I mean? Toni Storm battled, took over the #1 contendership by beating Britt Baker, won a tough match this week against, someone they push as a shooter. And then Thunder Rosa came out to save her from a beating. They had their little Monday Night Raw stare down.
Right, they've had the I'm going to hit you with the belt, I'm holding your belt, and we're looking at each other. That's fine for me, and they're two great wrestlers. I just want to see them wrestle, and one of them's going to win and one of them's going to lose. It's fine.
If all of that's not good enough for you, you have unrealistic standards on builds for mid-card pro wrestling.
Right, and also, do you really need Thunder Rosa cutting a 25-minute promo? Because I really don't. Do I need Toni Storm cutting a 25-minute promo? I really don't. I need them kicking ass and slightly building up to a match that's going to happen on Sunday, which is going to be a fucking awesome match. They're going to kill each other because they're both tremendous pro wrestlers.
We let Thunder Rosa and Serena Deeb cut promos last time.
Yeah, I don't want to do that anymore. I didn't like that. I don't want to do that. I don't like that. No more of that, please.
The build here is fine. But you add in the factor of everybody thinks that, Tony Khan is the world's biggest misogynist and all that. So there's even more, like, there's even more of this thing where it's never good enough when it comes to this women's division. So that even makes it worse. This build has been perfectly fine.
Yeah, just two badasses that want to get in there and kick each other's ass. I don't know. That's fine with
Especially
me.
the slot on the card. If this was the main event of the pay-per-view, it'd be a substandard build. It's fucking 9th from the top. I don't give a shit. Or whatever, 7th, whatever it is. El Phantasmo, Hikuleo, and the Young Bucks versus Sting, Darby Allin, Hiromu, and Shingo. I was amused by Shingo going on Twitter to say, hey, I didn't know what my match was, but I'm happy with this because I want to wrestle the Bucks.
Yeah, and that's that jives with a lot of what we've heard from people in the New Japan room, that they haven't really been as, abreast of what's going on this show as much as they maybe wanted to or would like. And yeah, some of the wrestlers finding out quite literally what their matches are when they're happening on the air.
Yeah, so, I mean, this is another match where I would have, cut the fat and put the stars in there with each other. How about Darby versus Hiromu? Why not just do that?
Yeah, sounds fucking great. Yeah.
And listen, if I'm Tony Khan, I don't give a shit if Darby loses that match.
No. Oh, my God. Who cares?
Who cares? Listen, if I'm New Japan, I don't care if Hiromu loses that match.
Right. I just say let's go out there and have a kick-ass, incredible match. Yeah, neither of these guys are protected on any level that would...
No, listen, Hiromu just lost his challenge of Ishimori. He's kind of in a zone now where he can lose.
Right.
Like, this is the perfect time to beat Hiromu. Like, this is... Listen, if I was in the room putting this show together and playing the politics game, this is one where I'd be begging for my guy to lose because I don't think either one of them are hurt at all by losing. This would be one where I would pretend I was making a sacrifice. Do you see what I'm saying? I'd hem and haw.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? We'll give you Darby. We'll give you Darby. You know what? You really put me over a barrel here, but you know what? We'll have Darby lose. You know what?
If you'll give me Okada over Hangman, I'll tell you what. Hiromu. You can beat Hiromu. Like, that's how I would play this match on either side.
Yeah, you can sit up in your chair, look at your paper, tap your pen, and go, I can't believe I'm going to do this. You know what? Yeah. Hiromu will lose. That's fine.
Rub the back of my neck.
Okay, throw the pen down. You got it. Rub the back. Take your glasses off. You don't even wear glasses. You find glasses, put them on, take them off, rub your temples. Go, oh, man.
Take a ghost sip of my empty Starbucks.
Yeah, right. It's been empty for 20 minutes, but you're still.
It makes that sound when you start. Yeah, absolutely. And then it doesn't sound anything like that, by the way. But
terrible Foley artist work there.
That was like a flute or something.
Yeah, what is that? Like a recorder.
Yeah, that was not an empty sip of straw. But yeah, no, I would have preferred something like that. Or the LIJ guys versus the Bucks.
Yeah, really. I mean, honestly, if you want to split this match up, and yeah, Phantasmo and Hikuleo versus Darby and Sting, there's not much to that, but whatever, it's fine. But like, I would have either had the Bucks and Shingo and Hiromu. That's a match that again doesn't really mean anything booking wise. It's just a good service match of, hey, go out there, have a great fucking match. These guys do have a history together. Young Bucks and Shingo do have a history together. But in the end, who gives a shit? Like, just go out there and have an incredible match. Have the match of the night. Now I don't think we're going to get the match of the night here. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think Phantasmo, Hikuleo, and the Bucks are going to have a match of the night with Darby Allin, Sting, and Shingo and Hiromu. But you had the opportunity to do that. You had two teams that it didn't matter if they lost or whatever. Shingo and Hiromu can lose. It's not that big of a deal. But now, yeah, we don't have that. And yeah, it's just, again, another missed opportunity to me. Just throwing together a match that nobody could possibly care about. That might end up being pretty good, but yeah, the care is just, there's just not much there. So.
Jericho, Suzuki, Minoru Suzuki, and Sammy Guevara versus Wheeler Utah, Shota Umino, and Eddie Kingston. Maybe this is what Mox was earmarked for. Maybe it wasn't. I don't know. But he's got his boy Shooter in there with Eddie Kingston and Wheeler Utah. And Jericho has hired Suzuki-gun to take out his enemies. And he is paired back up with Sammy Guevara. So we have this six-man, which ended the show with a giant brawl last night, which with Tanahashi and Moxley just kind of running out of things to mumble to each other. Because it felt like
right, saying how much longer do we have to do this? 45 more seconds. Okay, I'm going to squint my eyes, and you're going to squint your eyes, and then I'm going to go, and you're going to go, like, Yeah, that was tough. That was, for a show that's always slow on time, that was like the worst possible time to be like, we got 2 more minutes, guys. Sorry. You guys are going to have to brawl for an extra 2 minutes, and these guys are just going to stand in the ring and snarl at each other. But I like the brawl. I think it was pretty good. And I'm pretty interested to see how this all shakes out. It's not like a fun match. Who cares? This is a match that if it was 7th or 8th on the card, it's just you get Minoru Suzuki to come out there, people say his, chants his song, and we move on, and nobody really cares or thinks about it ever again. But now in this, with this build, it becomes one of the, relatively...
It's been one of the strongest built matches.
Right, and that's not what it should have been and not what it needed to be, and that kind of, it's a victim of circumstances in that way in some cases, but also a victim of, maybe not doing a great build, so.
Shooters eating a Gotch-style pile driver.
Oh, yeah, probably. Yeah.
Buy-in, the Ass Boys and Ass Dad and Max Castor against the LA Dojo guys of the DKC, Kevin Knight, Alex Coughlin, who is now a robot, and Yuya Uemura. So good little buy-in match. You want to get Castor out there to do a rap. The DKC, by the way, is facing Hook on Rampage. So, yeah, hey, quickly, because I know we don't have a lot of time.
Hook is the Danielson guy?
Would you have done Hook or Wardlaw against one of the LA Dojo guys in a quick squash on the actual pay-per-view? Because why not? Just to get them on there.
Yeah,
I would.
Yeah, why not?
Why can't the Wardlaw take on some sacrifice? Maybe not Cogman, or like Kevin Knight.
Yeah, Kevin Knight. The DKC can take a fall to.
The Wardlaw, and then you get Wardlaw on the pay-per-view and a big pop and everything. But instead, the Wardlaw is not on the show.
Yeah,
and it takes up like 6 minutes of your 4-hour pay-per-view. You know what I mean? You go in there and do a 30-second match where he power bombs the DKC 4 times and pins him. Or you could have done it with Hook. But, they didn't go in that direction. And added on Rampage.
Yes. Spoiler alert. If you're a dork that cares about Rampage spoilers, jump ahead 3 minutes or something like that. But yeah.
I don't know if it's buy-in or it's going to be on the show, but we get Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland against El Desperado and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. That rocks.
Yeah,
I am.
Inject that into my veins. That's
I want more of that on this show.
Yeah. That's what I mean. That's like a great match that like you don't really need a build. It's just the fans that know what they're going to get. The fans that don't know are going to be treated to a very, very good, solid wrestling match. And that's what I think this card needed more of. Is just give the fans good matches and don't really worry too much about the politics and all this sort of stuff. Just a good match. It's clear who's going to lose. That's fine. Nobody cares. It's, you know what I mean? Like just figure these. More of these matches should have been figured out. And this one's a perfect example of what this card could have more of instead of, no offense again, to Hikuleo being stuffed into an 8-man.
You want to know my fear with this little innocuous looking match? You want my fear?
What do you got?
Ricky Starks and Will Hobbs making it a 3-way.
Oh no!
Can't you see that happening?
I could absolutely see that happening. Yes. The match is about to start, and
doing some angle
Starks
or something.
Comes out like an asshole with his shirt unbuttoned, going like, "Whoa, whoa, 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 whoa!"
Yeah,
what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Yes, I could see that.
And then we get another 3-way.
Oh,
right?
God damn it! Yes, I can.
Yeah.
Wait, we're gonna have a Forbidden Door without Ricky Starks. Yeah.
Starks with his shirt unbuttoned and his loafers with no socks. Did
you see that man throughout the first pitch, or I don't know if it was the first pitch, but he was at a Cardinals game. Yeah, with no shirt and unbuttoned Cardinals jersey.
Yeah, listen, he's Stroke Daddy.
Look, if I looked like him, I probably wouldn't wear a shirt either. So,
Stroke Daddy, yeah, absolutely. We don't get. Listen, he's not on the pay-per-view, so no Stroke Daddy this month.
No,
maybe the next pay-per-view. So he could do Stroke Daddy on pay-per-view. He can't do Stroke Daddy.
Oh, that's right. Right. We talked about that. Yeah.
So we'll see if that match is on the buy-in or the actual show. Maybe that'll be made clear on Rampage. Maybe it won't. I don't know. Maybe they could squeeze a third match onto the buy-in. I mean, they like to do those video packages on the buy-in, though. So
they do. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'd put a Hook out there or something like that if you're.
Yeah.
Like you said, Hook versus insert. I'm trying to think of the lowest on the rung.
Well, do the Hook DKC match on the buy-in instead of Rampage. They're doing the match.
Oh yeah, they're doing that. Yeah, duh. That's I keep in my head thinking about Hook versus DKC as being like a perfect squash match. Yeah, duh. They're doing it on fucking Rampage. Do it on this pay-per-view. Come on, what are we doing here?
Yeah. So
Give the crowd some.
That's what I was saying. You could do a match with Hook or Wardlaw, or even both. One on the buy-in, put Hook on the buy-in, put Wardlaw on the show. Because I would think you'd want to showcase. I don't know if I'd want to have any pay-per-views without Wardlaw from this point forward.
No.
I mean, so I don't know. But that's Forbidden Door. $10 tier, Instant Reaction Live, third seat, Iron Mike Spears, Sunday night, immediately following the show, as usual. Just because Rich will actually probably set up just as well as he would be at home with the
maybe better
studio at Mike's house. So, get on board for that, and we'll talk to you Sunday night. So we have a couple more topics to get to here as we move away from Forbidden Door. What do you want to do? You want to do the quick Vince McMahon update?
Yeah, let's do a quick little hit on Vince McMahon here. So if you did not know, if you want more on Vince McMahon, I did an Instant Reaction Live on Friday after Vince appeared on SmackDown. That was also when we did find out that Vince McMahon was stepping down as CEO of WWE, which happened only a week ago, but feels like, like it almost, people aren't even talking about that much anymore. I think that Vince McMahon stepped down as CEO. Like it was so insane and it was so wild, and it happened like immediately after. It was like Friday morning after we did the flagship, so it kind of sucked that we did this entire segment about I don't know, there's a possibility that this time next week, Vince McMahon's thinking about not being the CEO, and then it's like immediately thereafter, 12 hours after we record that, he steps down as CEO. But with all that said, we know that there's an investigation. We know that he stepped down on Friday. Stephanie's taking over as interim CEO.
Quote-unquote step down. Puppet regime.
Yeah, and then very big qualifier that happened a few days after that. John Laurinaitis was put on a leave of absence. Yeah. Makes sense, given, his proximity to all this stuff going on. And then to me, what is 100, 1,000, 10 trillion% indication that Vince McMahon is still running the day-to-day operations, running the show in this company, is that Bruce Pritchard was then appointed the new head of talent relations. I will tell you, if Vince McMahon truly stepped away and said, I just want to take care of creative, and Stephanie, it's your company now, there's no fucking chance on the universe that Bruce Pritchard takes over as head of talent relations. Yeah. Zero chance. So that's all you need to know right now. So, quote-unquote step in is absolutely the right way to put this. She's figurehead at this point right now. Will that grow into something more later? Maybe. Are they just kind of easing into this transition? Maybe. I don't know. But all you need to know is if Bruce Pritchard gained another new job and another level up, Stephanie's not fully in charge. Vince is still in charge.
Puppet regime.
Yeah.
What is it now? 7 separate lawsuits now?
So I had 5 when we started, but I think it might be up to 7 by the time.
7.
Is it 7? Okay, it was 5 when I wrote the notes. Yeah, the vultures are swarming in terms of people trying to, and the stock price has not recovered from
I'll tell you what has recovered, the television ratings.
Absolutely. This has been great for the ratings, man. This is a bonanza. Vince earnestly in a room says, oh, God damn, we need more of these. To his private, I don't think he said it to everybody in the room, but to his private, group, he probably said, oh, God damn. Controversy, it creates cash. This is great.
I'll tell you what, it made me turn on SmackDown Live.
I fucking watched SmackDown. I haven't watched SmackDown in forever. I fucking watched it.
And
I did Instant Reaction Live after SmackDown. We had 50 people on there. All people saying, yeah, he got me. I'm watching it. I watched Riddle and Reigns. They watched the whole show. You know what I mean? And then he appears on Raw. He's posting through it. And Vince McMahon is posting through it.
And there's curiosity
on Raw. He's going to just appear on TV all the time.
And Raw popped a number 2 because I think there's curiosity.
NXT popped a number.
Yeah, all 3 shows, because I think there's curiosity in the company from a fan standpoint what it's going to look like in this short. I don't think that'll last, obviously.
No.
But there was short-term curiosity and everything due to this situation, and it has absolutely helped their television ratings, which is wild. And I think that's partially why he went on SmackDown. The other thing was a PR. They wanted film of him getting cheered and all that. And then he did it again on Raw. And even though it was unannounced, I think certainly this whole situation helped pop that number. There's no doubt about it. Yeah, and NXT did their best number in a long time. So, and the week before, TV had that weird week where everything was down. So that helps, the bounce back look a little more impressive too. But yeah, I don't know. There's really not much more to add at this stage. You did the instant reaction after SmackDown and talked about it a little. We just have to see how all this shakes out. I mean, it's the whispers going around is these additional NDAs do in fact involve, on-screen talent, past and present. So, that'll be huge if that is in fact the case. I mean, that'll, get more attention than nameless, faceless paralegals if it's people who have been on-screen talent. So we'll have to see. And a lot of the women who used to work for the company are starting to subtweet and, and none of them want to come out and break the seal. But a lot of them have been, we're getting a lot of, I don't want to talk about it at this times from people like Gail Kim. And we're getting a lot of,
the eyeball emojis and the, not surprised or, like the passive aggressive sort of subtweeting stuff, because nobody wants to be the first person to say, this happened to me. Like, and it's going to be tough, and it might take like a group of people coming together and saying, all right, are we all ready to do this at the same time? Like, if we're all ready, let's do it, type of thing. Or this information coming out in Discovery or whatever. And that will be especially with these swarming, lawsuits and all this sort of stuff. That's when things get a little wild. If we start getting Discovery on these things and people have to start under oath, answering questions, that's when things start getting wild. And that's when he probably bails for real, as opposed to whatever this is right now, which is not him actually. He's not only is he's on TV every week, and he's clearly still running the show. So it's like, it's, for anybody hoping that this was going to be the end of Vince McMahon, this was not the end, but we could still be staring down the inevitable end of him very, very, very soon. But, we'll see. What
do you make of Triple H popping up in NXT a week after Vince steps down?
Very weird. Very weird. I don't.
I need to know more details on the meeting, which this happened yesterday, so I don't know a lot about it. But isn't that a little conspicuous, or could it be a coincidence?
I think it. I don't know. I don't know. Right? It's interesting more than anything. I think at the top we could probably just say that Bruce Pritchard probably said, "Hey, look, I don't have time for this shit anymore. I can't be doing. I can't be writing NXT and figuring this shit out. So you know what? If Triple H wants it back,
handling talent relations,
right, and still writing Raw and writing SmackDown and doing all that sort of stuff, like I can't do NXT anymore. So you know what? If Paul wants it back, Paul can have it back, with the caveat and the understanding that, hey, this is the way we're doing things now here, and everything's got to run through Vince or everything's got to run through me or anything like that. But I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, people have said, oh, it's it's Shawn Michaels' show, and he's kind of running the day-to-day stuff, and he's just filtering it through Bruce and Vince and all this sort of stuff. So I don't know. It is conspicuous, and it is. It can't be coincidence. You know what I mean? It's definitely a factor in it, but I think it could just be as simple as Bruce saying, "Look, I don't have time for this." So if Paul thinks he's helped you enough, he can take it. But you're not getting Poppy Raw is not coming back tomorrow. You know what I mean? They've invested too much, and they've gotten rid of too much for it to just go back to what it was before with Triple H. So
yeah. Slammiversary.
Yeah, let's get to this. Impact Wrestling Slammiversary, their 20th anniversary show. A very big celebration all night. A lot of great video packages, a lot of kind of remembrance, a lot of matches that kind of played to the nostalgia of Impact and TNA history, including the main event, which was filled with it throughout. I mean, ultimately, I thought it was an okay show. Impact pay-per-views rarely kind of work. They don't really land with me as much as there was a couple years ago where they did. Remember, we would come on every single couple of months and go, "Oh my god, like Slammiversary was great and Bound for Glory was great and all these shows were great." We've kind of lost that in the last few years. They don't hit me on that level anymore. I thought this was an okay show. I didn't feel like I wasted my time, but I definitely don't think I could fully 100% recommend the show to anybody. What did you think?
I feel like if you are a hardcore super fan of Impact, this was probably an extremely satisfying, fun-filled night where there was just the right amount of nostalgia and tongue-in-cheek wackiness and nods to the past without being derivative and being hit with the subtlety hammer.
I agree.
I thought they nailed everything.
It was a love letter. It was a love letter to the history of the company.
Yes, it was.
In a very good way.
Yeah. And I thought they nailed it. And, I am so disconnected from Impact right now, like I talked about last week in the preview, that everything didn't really land with me. There was a lot that I was just like looking at my watch, like, come on, but if you were a hardcore fan of this and if you were super looking forward to this show, I don't see how you couldn't have come away with it satisfied, because it really was a feel-good show where everything worked for what they were trying to accomplish and for the fans that they were trying to serve.
We can quickly go match by match if you want.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do the main event. I think was again, this is a match that's, again, if you're a hardcore TNA Impact fan, this match is going to land with you in the biggest way possible, because these guys did all the moves of their predecessors, all the moves of past TNA champions, of past Impact champions or whatever, ultimately leading up to the crescendo of Josh Alexander hitting his move to kind of say, okay, that's the past, and now here's me. Boom, I hit my move. I pin Eric Young, a longtime Impact TNA guy, to now officially declare that I am the future, I am the president of Impact Wrestling, while also not in the past. It worked on that, but again, to me, I'm like, I don't know, it doesn't hit me. I don't have that same nostalgia for Impact and TNA like a lot of other people do. So, seeing these guys hit the Styles Clash, I was like, I don't know, all right, cool. Like, you know what I mean? Seeing these guys hit a bunch of moves that were done by top Impact guys over the course of the last 20 years, it's all really cool. I appreciate them for telling that story. It just didn't land with me, but I could totally see how a certain segment of fans it absolutely landed with. And currently on Cage Match, as of me putting these notes together, 8.85 on Cage Match. I wouldn't go anywhere near that far. With that said, I think it was good, but it's just it's not going to hit me. It's not a match for me. It wasn't meant for me. It wasn't designed for me, but it was designed for a certain segment of fans, and I'm positive those segment of fans absolutely love this thing. But I don't know. I mean, it was good, but I don't think it was great.
No, the main event was an encapsulation of what I just described of the overall show. Satisfying if you're a fan of the promotion, all the nods and all the callbacks without overdoing it. The right guy won. And, like you said, it solidifies Josh Alexander as the guy now. Eric Young was the perfect person who, out of the available people, to beat. Because, as we always say, he's a much bigger deal in the universe and the canon of TNA than he is anywhere else. He really is a main event level guy there, and someone who you could put in a spot like this to represent the past, and it doesn't, feel like it's a jabroni in that spot. He matters to that audience and to the history of that company. So that the match definitely worked. I didn't like it. I didn't like it on a notebook level either. So I guess we're going to be the ones pissing in the Impact cornfield.
It's just,
but,
at a certain point, I was like, all right, I get it. You're doing X moves to the guys. It's cool. I just want to have I would just prefer a wrestling match between the two, but I understand what they were trying to do. It wasn't for us. That's okay. Some matches aren't, so that's okay. Impact Knockouts, Queen of the Mountain match. I mean, the stipulation of the King of the Mountain is always awful. And always kind of stupid. And again, a love letter to Impact. You got to do a King of the Mountain or a Queen of the Mountain thing. I get it. But it's never a very interesting or good match type. And that was kind of reflected in this match too. With that said, certain women in this match worked their asses off. I would say really all the women in this match worked their asses off. Chelsea Green and what was it? Who went off the top rope? It was Chelsea Green and Purrazzo, right?
Well, Mia Yim did the ladder run.
She did the ladder run. I think off the top of it when they tipped over the ladder onto the tables. I want to say that was Chelsea Green and Deanna. I apologize if I'm wrong. Just nuts. I mean, a nuts spot. Everybody worked their asses off in this match. It's just the King of the Mountain thing. Again, it's not for me. I always hated that stipulation. I always thought it was dorky as hell, but you got to do it on this show, so I get it.
Yeah, I have no nostalgia for this match stipulation, and I thought this match sucked. So. We're just a bundle of joy here.
It's just fight.
No, there was a lot of stuff I liked, though.
I was going to say, the next match I love. VoiceWrestling.com/fight if you want to buy this thrilling replay of the show that we're doing a great job of getting you excited for. But this one was a regular match that had all of that nostalgia, but done in a very good way and done in a very organic way to me. It was the Impact Original, Shelley, Sabin, Davey Richards, Frankie Kazarian, and Nick Aldis versus Honor No More, Eddie Edwards, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, PCO, and Vincent. This was exactly what I wanted in terms of nostalgia. They did just enough nostalgia, but also played it up to be real parts of a match and real parts of a wrestling. It felt like we were just shoehorning or stuffing in nostalgia. It just kind of happened in the flow of the match where guys would face off with each other. Dixie Carter comes out. I thought 100% that she was going to introduce Ethan Carter III. No, she introduces Davey Richards, which is canon. Remember the very weird porny...
that was TJP.
No, she did it with Davey Richards too. You don't remember?
They had a porn introduction.
They were wearing like button-up sweaters or whatever, and she's like, "I just want to give you guys Impact Wrestling," and they're like, "Thank you so much, Mrs. Carter." They're very. You got to go and watch them. They're both wearing like dorky sweaters or whatever. It's right there. I'm telling you, it's not quite as porny as TJP, but it doesn't have the sexual tension that the TJP.
The TJP one was a classic MILF porn with like a stepson, that kind of deal. Yeah.
But then they had
yeah.
Davey and Eddie face off. They had Bennett do stuff. It was enough things dropped in. You had Earl Hebner get involved. Like you had just enough things, but it all worked in the flow of the match. So I thought this match was tremendous. I love this one. This was my match.
I
of the
enjoyed
night,
this,
for sure.
and it was also TNA defending their honor against Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
and Ring of Honor during many points of TNA's history has kind of been their rival, right? Like they were kind of aligned early and sharing talent. Then TNA said you can't share our talent anymore, and then the ROH fans.
Well, you're run by a pedophile, so we would prefer to not have our talent on your shows anymore, which was fair.
Yeah, so there's periods of time where the ROH fans and the TNA fans hated each other, and so this is a natural, and there so it all worked. It was a lot of fun. It was fast paced, good work. Yeah, I enjoyed all of this. I enjoyed the total package.
And then quickly, the rest of the show here: Impact World Tag Team Titles. The Good Brothers defeat the Briscoes to win the Impact World Tag Team titles.
I really thought Good Brothers were finishing up there.
I did too. Yeah, I was super surprised when they got the 1, 2, 3 here in 10 minutes. So.
And then they brought out Harris and Storm, and then they all drank beer together, which was a nice touch to bring out.
Not all of them. Chris was.
Who didn't drink the beer?
Chris Harris was. He went with the water. So instead.
Oh, is he recovering or something?
Yeah, I wonder. They were just like,
everybody.
I did like James Storm says, well, everyone needs a driver, so he had a bottle of water, and I was like, all right, that's kind of cool. So yeah, that's
I don't know. I don't know his deal.
I don't either. But yeah, it was done well. It was done tastefully and well. So I appreciate that.
But but that tag team, legendary TNA tag team.
Oh yeah.
So Chris Harris obviously out of the business, but he doesn't wrestle low level, right?
I really don't think so. Yeah, I don't know off the top of my head, but I'm almost positive he's long gone at this point. So
weird result. I really thought Good Brothers were on their way out and just headed back to New Japan full time or whatever the fuck. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd put my titles on a guy who
said I don't try.
Yeah, but whatever.
It is the Good Brothers. Monsters Ball. We talked about it every week.
Yeah. No,
I'm done with guys hitting each other with shit. I don't care if this is the first time you've seen guys hit each other with shit. You probably thought it was great. I'm done with guys hitting each other with shit. I'm over it. I'm gonna start skipping these matches because I never enjoy them. I always waste my 15-20 minutes. I don't know what again. I'm sure it was fine. If you don't watch all the wrestling that we watch, you might think this was really good. I'm sick of guys hitting each other with shit and thumbtacks and kendo sticks and tables and chairs. I'm done with all of it. I never want it ever again. So,
Sammy looking healthy coming out of the quarantine, huh?
Yeah,
he's been eating well. I'm saying, like he's got that that Joshi body, that 90s Joshi body, looking stout. He's looking statuesque, Sammy. So it's a good wrestler build,
Absolutely.
He's got like peak Bull Nakano out there.
Yeah.
He's so yeah.
Impact Knockouts Tag Team Titles. Rosemary and Taya Valkyrie defeat The Influence, Madison Rayne and Tennille Dashwood, to win the Impact Knockouts Tag Team title. I thought this was awful, but look at the names for God's sake. So yeah.
No, this is a terrible, terrible match. It was really irredeemably bad.
Don't waste your 7 minutes. I did. You don't have to. Just move on with your life. Impact X Division Ultimate X match. Mike Bailey defeats Ace Austin, Alex Zane, Andrew Abbott, Kenny King, and Trey Miguel. Ultimate X. Again, I'm not that nostalgic about Ultimate X, so it's like, I don't know. It was fine. It was good. I mean, Mike Bailey worked his ass off, guys. It's just there was a lot of really cool spots, but ultimately, I don't know. They kept it short at least. I'll give them that.
They have one of these on every show, and they're all the same, and they're fine.
Yeah.
I wish they'd keep them a little more special, but that ship sailed many years ago.
Yeah, it's long gone.
And it's not just an Impact problem; it's an everybody problem. But I thought this was better than the Ultimate X we just saw in the previous Impact Premium Live event or whatever they call these things.
I think they call them pay-per-views still, yeah.
Was this one like, could you order this on your cable system? Was this a pay-per-view?
I did not. That was a fight. I guess you probably could.
No, but could you is what I'm asking.
I think so.
They've got these fight shows. They've got shows on their streaming service, and they're like, call them pay-per-views, but are they really pay-per-views?
Yeah, you're right.
And so I don't know if this was available like on cable systems. To me, that's a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
You know, if you're on Fight, I mean, you know, fucking Game Changer does that. I mean, you know, it's like, I don't know, but those are more like, I don't know, premium live events.
Premium live events. We're going with that. Yeah, they we'll let WWE win that war. They didn't win the sports entertainment vocabulary war, but we'll let them win. Yeah. Reverse Battle Royal. Shark Boy gets the win. This was a match where I was like, hell yeah, Reverse Battle Royal. And then it started and I went, fuck, Reverse Battle Royal. It's not that good. So.
No, I didn't even.
I'm glad it occurred. I'm glad it happened. It had to happen on the show. I'm glad they booked it. I'm glad TNA and Impact is able to laugh at themselves a little bit and do a Reverse Battle Royal. And it was all and Mike Jackson and Nate Webb and you know, Zicky Dice, and there was a lot of dorks, and that's fine. And Shark Boy won, and that's perfect or whatever. It's just like the bell rang, and I was like, oh yeah, I'm not really that interested in watching this. Like, I'm glad it happened.
I heard David Young was in this.
Yes, yeah, David Young, yeah, Crazy Steve, your guy Crazy Steve, who's legally blind or whatever and still wrestling.
How did David Young look?
David Young, I don't know. How would you expect David Young to look? I don't know.
He was always a little portly, but like
I don't know if he was like aggressively.
I'm just curious because he hasn't wrestled in a long time.
Yeah.
Looking old. I mean,
no, he looks about the same. A little chubbier, I'd say. A little chubbier.
All right.
Young, yeah. But like again, I'm glad this match happened. I'm glad it happened.
Absolutely. I mean, I skipped it, but the
you're glad you just like knowing it happened. So.
I do because I think I didn't see this one, so I can't comment. But the rest of the TNA signature gimmick matches were all perfectly competent examples of the TNA signature gimmick matches, and that's what their fans wanted on this show. And we would be remiss if we didn't mention the very nice Don West Mike Tenay tribute.
Oh, incredible video. Great video by them.
That Fuckface Phillips and
Drama King Matt. Yeah,
Drama King Matt did you know, to pay homage to the original and best TNA broadcast crew, and they plugged Don West's GoFundMe and all that. Yep. So that was very nice. I wonder why Mike Tenay didn't. I'm sure he was invited.
I'm sure he was. Yeah, I don't know the current state.
He just don't want anything to do with wrestling.
Nah, he's ready to be done. Yeah, he's ready to just kind of. He's still probably, you know, we know that he still watches it and he still follows
without
it,
question.
Yeah, he just doesn't care to be involved in the day to day and doesn't want to be a public face of it. Which, all right, it's fine.
Yeah.
One was right to do that. I did not see the Impact Digital Media Championship. Rich Swann defeating Brian Myers. I did not see that. So.
I didn't watch the pre-show, so I didn't see any of that. But yeah.
And that is it for this flagship. Again, a little bit abbreviated episode. I'm sorry we only went an hour and a half, but it'll be all worth it in the end because I got to go to sleep. I got to drive to South Carolina. But you are getting an overrun. That should be Joe should be done with that, and I don't know. Right about exactly 10 p.m. Central Standard Time, I would say, right? Joe, do you think you'll have 90 minutes done by 10 p.m. Central Standard Time at flagshippatreon.com?
I'm going to get right to work when you hang up on me here.
Right. I'm going to hang up. You're going to hit record right away, and then we're going to post it, and it'll post exactly at the top of the hour at 10 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Yes. And I'm going to discuss
with your 90 minutes of audio.
The New Japan Road Tour, and then the G1 blocks in detail, and then the All Japan show, and then AAA Triple Mania in that order is what I plan to do immediately when
immediately after this. But that will be up at flagshippatreon.com. $5 tier for the overrun. But yeah, this obviously I'll be up on the free feed as normal as well. But last but not least, don't forget Instant Reaction Live this Sunday. Joe, me, Iron Mike Spears, Spears Ovation, the new newsletter, formerly of Everything Elite. Currently have opened the Voice Gate. I'll be live in the Spears estate doing Instant Reaction Live, so we'll cover that. That will be our only time of us reviewing Forbidden Door. So that is it. We are not going to review Forbidden Door on next week's show. If you want our review of Forbidden Door, that is the way to listen to it. We will do reviews of every single match, recaps, ratings, thoughts, amusing anecdotes, all kind of crazy stuff because we always spend way longer on these instant reactions than we need to. So that will be a very full, very fun, very packed show as well on Sunday. So that is going to be available on the $10 tier also at flagshippatreon.com, patreon.com/voicesofwrestling, or voicesofwrestling.com/Patreon. So that is it for us on the flagship. For Joe, I'm Rich. We'll talk to you next time. Take care.